All right. So all of you could able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
So what we do today is a very important topic in economics and in fact in production economics is called the input-output analysis. And it was formulated or developed by a famous American-Russian economist called Vasily W. Leontov. And if you search this in YouTube, so many would have released a video. The name of the video will be Leontov's input-output analysis. So he's a founder of this particular methodology, and he got a Nobel Prize for this as well. So it's just kind of a very, very interesting and kind of a more important thing. And what does that exactly do, or what does this particular what do you call analysis is like? It answers a question. It answers what do you call a question or thing that people wanted to know. So that is, what level of output should each of the end industries in a particular economic situation produce in order to satisfy the total demand. So which means that this is a sectoral demand. This is not necessarily an individual demand. It's a sectoral demand. Say for example, um, construction as an industry. If you take construction as an industry, then probably the factors that influence construction is not only the factors that are associated with construction, but also with other sectors like manufacturing, fabrication of steel, or to fabricate steel, what you need is mining of iron ores and all. So mining industry. So which means that almost all the industries are interrelated. To have a building or to construct a building, we need a help of mining, but we don't actually take that into consideration. We just talk about the steel gets manufactured, that's it. So that gets used in the construction, that's it. But input output analysis talks about the entire sectoral perspective. So it talks about mining, or mining being the first point, then the what do you call the factories that fabricate or forge these steels into desired shapes, and then that gets transportation. Yeah, transportation also a very important role, and then finally it comes to the construction. So which means that the steel as a construction material or building material has to go through a lot of sectors, or in this case it says industries. So that is what it basically means by the and industries in a particular economic situation to produce something, so that the total demand of the economy, in this case I talked about the one project like construction project, that demand gets satisfied. So the influence of all the industries put together to, there might be say for example mining industry produces steel, and that does have huge impact in the construction, I mean the steel reinforced. But supposing you are familiar with the timber construction, that may not be as high, because even though timber needs some kind of connections in steel, but it doesn't require as high as the RCC, I mean the reinforced cement concrete. So in that case, there will be a trade-off between one that industry requires high, another that industry doesn't require high, and so on. So as simple as that. So that is what the input-output analysis is. Like input is all the raw materials from the various sectors, and output is how that gets mapped to produce that particular output. So that is what we call input-output analysis. This is very important. So I repeat once again, what level of output should each of the end industry, so which means that the output from each of the industry in a particular situation is based on the inputs and also their demand, the total demand of the economy of the product. As simple as that. Okay, and this is also known as analysis of inter-industry or inter-sector flow, which is also known as a competition between industry. I told you mining is an industry, then steel fabrication and forging is an industry, and analysis of inter-industry relationship is also an important factor. So this is also known by the term intersector or inter-industry. So that's very important. Then it also some people refer this analysis of inter-industry relations. This is very important. So how does that individual industries what do you call in the next module we'll talk about the competition among industry, but this is kind of an uh, product per a product, what is that industry involved in, and that's kind of a relationship between them. Okay, it's not about the external industry, it also parent or the subordinate industries that responsible for create a product. And this is the assumption in input-output analysis. This is kind of a pretty much a mathematical thing. So we have got n linear equations with n unknowns. If you talk about the classical input-output analysis, they use simultaneous equations to solve these stuff, but we use one of the interesting numerical methods known as matrix method. So matrix method in fact reduces the computation, but nowadays you have got very good computational facilities. You can make use of that to even solve 5 by 5 matrix or inverse of a 5 by 5 matrix or 10 by 10 matrix and so on. But we'll take a small example. In that we have just considered only 2 by 2 matrix, so that if you really understand that, then you can always export your idea to a 5 by 5 matrix. Okay. Your assignment number 2 is also based on input output analysis. I'll let you know what exactly that means. So maybe after this particular class, maybe Friday's class, I'll release assignment number 2. By then, we have decided the 20th August is the final deadline for the assignment number 1. I want a comprehensive assignment, so kindly do it very good. And copying is not acceptable. And if you copied and both of you forgo your marks will be 0. So as simple as that, do not copy, just kindly do it on your own. It's not very difficult also. Some people have submitted the assignments. I could see the submissions. I think 3 people have submitted the assignments. So think they could find time during their exam or before their exam they could able to do, but they have done a really comprehensive job also, so I appreciate that. So I request all of you to do the same. Do not copy from others. It's your individuality where it gets lost, or the point of giving assignment gets lost. Okay. And so we'll come back to input output analysis. It says that the production activities on economy are disaggregated into n sectors. So I told you that production depends on n sector, though not necessarily to individual firms in a microscopic level, which means that not to a greater level of details. We talk about holistic level. When I say mining industry, we don't go deeper into what type of mining industry or where that is located and its influencing factor. We take mining industry as a holistic perspective, mining industry. Agriculture, we take it as agriculture as such. We don't take as a paddy or wheat or any other pulses agriculture, or it is a small scale agriculture or agriculture that requires irrigation, I mean tank irrigation and so on. So it's not like that. We take agriculture as sector, agriculture as sector. So that's simple as that. Okay. In a not in a microscopic level, but not necessary, because again, if you wanted to do a deeper dive into, you can do it. But to get a holistic picture, we'll just take as them a whole. And then transaction of goods among the sectors are analyzed. So it's how it's just like transfer of goods. The classical input output analysis says that this to be a sales. They use a term called sales, 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 rather than transaction of goods. Sales of goods. It's not necessarily a sale, buying a item, but instead it's just like transfer of goods from one sector to the other sector. Okay. And you can even see n sectors produces n kind of commodities into one-to-one correspondence. So which means that raw material from iron ore from mining industry gets mapped to the what do you call the factories, and factories gets mapped to the real construction site. I mean, it goes, the steel gets mapped, but the product gets varied. In the mining, we'll get only the iron ore, not a steel product. But in a factory, you get a reinforcement steel or some structural shapes, and that gets to construction. But mining and construction and industry and I mean factory and construction site almost mapped one-to-one. So that is what the basic logic, I mean the assumptions in input output analysis. But many people try to prove this is wrong. How come mining can, in this case, our case, mining can be directly related to what you call construction. Without the mining, that's not going to be any steel in the factory, and so is the construction. So many things is just like an assumption. So that is what mathematically that is represented by n linear equations with n unknowns. Okay. And each sector, production means the transfer of several kinds of goods into some quantities. This is, you remember the production definition. It is some useful product we should get. It is not like physical transformation of one form to another. It is not so. Anything that is finally in a usability form, that is what we call, then that is what we refer that to a production process, rather than it gets transformed, not like that, something like that. Okay. And moreover, this pattern input-output transformation is assumed to be stable. So remember that we don't talk about shortages here. When we talk about shortages, then the entire equilibrium gets collapsed and we don't get any inference out of it. So the main objective or main assumption in this case is the pattern, the input from one place to another, it's the production is stable. There's no cutoff or something like that. There could be increase in production or decrease in production, but it's not like uneven production. Say, for example, at one point of time, the production increases by 15%. Another point of time, the production decreases by 6%, but it's never 6%, 15%, 6%, 17%, and it's not be wobbling. That is what it means by input-output transformation assumed to be stable. Okay, stable in the sense like not much variation. Remember in the structural analysis, you would have drawn the uniformly distributed load. So it's as simple as that. It can be the loads are uniform. So this is assumption. And this is a procedure to solve input-output analysis. And this is preparing the input-output table and computing technical coefficients and obtaining the required set of equations. Don't worry of this at this point of time. So we will explain this with a numerical example. So you'll understand much better what these things are. So first will be a table. Sometimes table I will be giving for examination. For assignments also I'll be giving. But actually input output analysis, you have to find out, go to the market and understand the factors. But for this understanding class, we'll be giving the table. The next step is technical coefficient. That you will be fine. It's capital A. Then the set of equations and solving using appropriate method. In this case, we'll use matrix method, so you don't have to really form a set of equations. But if you learn input-output analysis from YouTube, they'll be teaching, most of them will be teaching with the simultaneous equations. Because if you mess up with simultaneous equation, then the solution might wrong. And easiest method is the matrix method. So I'll just use matrix method for the input-output analysis. Then towards an exercise in substitution, this is very important, which means that we'll be modifying the parameter and to understand how that influences the input-output analysis. I mean input-output of that particular pattern or the particular economy. Okay, so one important thing, so it's a numerical thing, so you should really pay attention, otherwise you will not get it. And this is the pattern. X1 is the total consumption. They call total amount of materials produced by a sector. And it is called X11. This is one sector and another sector. This is sector 1 and sector 2, and sector 1 and sector K, and sector 1 and n minus 1 sector K, and sector 1 and n. And similarly, X2 is the materials produced by sector 2. I mean, it's a combined materials produced by sector 2. That this are the raw materials. Say, for example, X1 is a construction site. Then this are the mining industry. Then you can call factory, and this can have forging area, lathe area, then transportation and all these things. Okay, so all these things are the interrelated demand factors. Interrelated supply factors, and this Y1 is a demand factor. So which is the demand for the particular X1. I mean the material produced in sector 1. So and similarly, the entire thing is the simultaneous equation, equation 1, 2, and it goes on and on. K is intermediate value and goes S minus 1 and N. So N sector, N industry, and these are the form. This is a simultaneous equation. Generally, people used to solve these simultaneous equations to get the value of X1 and X2, but we will be using this in a matrix form. So you really love the way that we compute this particular X1 and X2 in a matrix form. I think that's be better. We have done a 2 by 2 matrix. Finding an inverse, we'll be finding an inverse of a matrix. Inverse of a matrix by 2 by 2, all of you know there's a shortcut to it, so it's pretty easy to understand and use it. But matrix more than 3 or 4, 5, 10, you should really look into computers, or you should really get the help of computers to do that. It is not very difficult to do manually, but it's time consuming and it will be laborious, and if you make up a computational error, the entire solution might go wrong, because we'll be dealing with decimal points, so which means that has got a huge importance. Okay. Maybe in tomorrow's class, I also teach you a methodology to find inverse using computers or Excel. So that might be helpful for you for assignment number, Friday's class, assignment number 2. Okay. Friday I release assignment number 2 and it's on input output analysis. Okay. Okay, this is pretty much an important formula. This is what fetched Vasily Leontief the Nobel Prize. This is the equation. AX, A is the technological coefficient, X plus Y is the demand, equals to X. And from this we can find Y equals to X minus AX. And finally, when you get a form, X equals to, when you separate X is equal to I minus A. I minus A is like, when you take X outside from X minus AX, this will become 1 minus A. In a matrix form, this will become an identity matrix. So everything is represented in a matrix. So it's going to be an what do you call identity matrix. You know what is an identity matrix? Which has got the diagonal elements to be 1, other elements of 0. And you have got x into I minus A equals to Y. So we take I minus A the other side, it goes to the denominator, and if it goes to the numerator, it will become an inverse. So I minus A inverse into Y. So this is the formula that we'll be using. To determine the X, you remember what is X? X is the total demand. Total demand of the materials produced, which is nothing but X1, 2, 3, 4 till Xn. Summation of all that X is this capital X. And summation of all Y, Y1, Y2 till Yn is the capital Y. And this is very important. Revised X star, which is nothing but when what happens when the demand gets varied. If the demand gets varied to a certain percentage, then X will become X star, and to indicate the variation in the demand, we have got Y star. Okay. So why this particular thing plays a huge role is whenever government formulates some policies like 5-year plan, 6-year plan, they take the data and they forecast some variability that could possibly happen, or in your assignment number 1, you would have done a forecasting. Similarly, any method government uses to forecast, and they provide this X star, that demand worthy considered to be an really important thing rather than theoretical demand, something like that. And Z bar is equals to A into X bar, and this is the final solution. This will talk about the final demand of that particular star. So we'll get into that. So it's really difficult to understand. Just kindly what do you call pay much attention to the numerical problem. So this is the numerical problem, and it says that I've just done it for a 2 sector, steel and timber sector, and for a construction economy. This is for the construction thing. And verify, first we have to verify the what do you call Vasily Leontief's input output analysis empirical formula. Then we have to find the revised consumption. Revised consumption in the sense, this is the total demand given, initial demand given when we compute the formula. Later they say that timber gets increased by 40% and steel gets increased by 65%. The demand gets increases. Then what happens to the input output pattern? So that is basically the problems. Okay. The payment here they have given us a value addition, which is nothing but I'll tell you what exactly that means. So from steel to steel, say for example, maybe this is a mining industry. This might be a factory where they required a steel. So steel to steel is 15,000 units. It could be billets roll. It could be metric ton. It could be whatever might be. But this is a simple example that I've just given you. Based on the units, if all the units are the same, then it's called homogeneous input-output analysis. If the units are varied, then it will become an heterogeneous. In this case, we'll take kilogram or metric ton. Even timber gets measured in kilograms. So this might be a homogeneous thing. But if it is something like water here, then water in liters, then this will become all heterogeneous thing. So it's a variation in terms of what we call input output analysis and so on. Okay, and this is 15,000 units are required from mining industry to steel, and mining industry to timber industry. Say for example, manufacturing of plywood, you need steel members to forge that, make it a shape For that, you require some 7,000 units of steel. And timber to steel, say for example, scaffolding for a building industry. For to hold that timber, you need a steel structural hollow tubes and so on. So that is 3,000 units required. And from timber to timber, it's just 12,000, which means like from raw timber from a factory to manufacturing furnitures and so on. So it requires like 12,000 units and so on. So this is like interaction between one to another. Okay. The final demand for both steel and timber is 28,000 units, something like that. So say it requires something around 28,000 units are required. Final demand. Okay, this is an appropriate demand. This is the final demand. I mean, this is appropriate production, and this is a demand. It's more of a supply, and this is more of a demand, and this is what it gets done, and this is the final demand. Okay, all those things will be given. I mean, till final demand will be given, you have to make up the total output. So total output is the summation of all these things. 15,000 plus 7,000 plus 28,000. Then this will yield 50,000. Then 30,000 plus 12,000 is 42 plus 3 is 45,000. And this is very important. It's called payments or value additions. If it is not given the value, you have to make up this particular component. In this case, I made it a payment. You can even write value addition also, value addition. So how does that varies is, put the total output 50,000 here and the total output 45,000 here. Then sum of these minus this, I mean total outlay is this minus sum of these will be this. I mean the column wise, not the row wise. 50,000 you put here, 15,000 plus 3,000 is 18,000, and 50,000 minus 18,000 is 32,000. So this will be generally given, but in case it's not given, the procedure to find out is sum this minus this. How do you get this? Is from the total output. And similarly, 45,000 goes here, 75,000 goes here, and this will be the sum of all these things. This should be the same, and this should be the same. So that's kind of a more important thing. What I have developed in this lecture notes is some simplified procedure for input-output analysis. After this lecture, you can go to Google or YouTube to understand input-output analysis. Then you come back to this method, and if you see, you really appreciate it. This is kind of a more simplified thing. Okay. Then the same table, the given table gets converted into unit 1, I mean sector 1, sector 2, and this also sector 1, sector 2. This is X11, 1 sector and 1 sector, 1-2, 1 sector and 2 sector, and 2-1, 2 sector and 1 sector, and 2-2, the 2 sectors. And Y1 and Y2 is a final demand of X1 and X2.
Sir, what is the difference between the total outlays and payment column?
Pardon?
So what is the difference between the total outlays and payments row?
Total outlays and
the payment row.
Payment is value addition. Value addition in the sense, what is the deficit in adding these two? When we minus the total outlay. Total outlay is just like a total output. Okay. Hello.
Okay, sorry.
This is a row wise difference. I mean, this is a row wise sum. This is a column wise sum. Okay. And this value we will not get if it is not given. But if it is not given, you should derive from this, add this and minus this, and that will become a value addition, or called payments generally. Okay. Okay then. So finally, we'll have mapped. We have mapped the entire thing in terms of the what do you call simultaneous equations, like this. Okay. X1 equals to X11. I mean, this is X1. X1n equals to X11 plus X12 plus Y1. Remember this formula, X11 plus this plus the demand will give X1. So that will be our total demand. And X2 is the X21 plus X22 plus Y2 will become X2. All right. So this is what gives us a simultaneous equation. This is a 2 sector, so we'll get only 2 equations. Think of n sector. You have got n numbers of sectors. Then the computation is really very important to label this initially. Then can carry forward your okay. So this is an input-output matrix. So which means that the total 15,000 divided by 50,000. Then 7,000 divided by 50,000. This will become you can even take that. Divide each column number by corresponding total output for that column. Say for example, if I divide 15,000 by 50,000, then we'll get 0.30. So this is what I talked about the coefficient matrix. So far, is there any doubt? Like how do we derive the coefficient matrix? Say if you could do 20, what do you call 7,000 divided by 5,000. Kindly let me know 7,000 divided by 50,000. You get 0.14.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that is how you compute this coefficients. Okay, so it's a 2 by 2 matrix. Then we have to find I minus A, the whole inverse. I mean the entire thing to be inverse. So to define that, for a identity matrix for a 2 by 2 matrix is this one. So diagonal elements to be 1, the other elements to be 0. Okay, for basic understanding, I have provided a 2 by 2 matrix. In Friday's class, I will give you, say for example, a 5 by 5 matrix or a 4 by 4 matrix. And for the assignment, you'll have something around large sector. You have got a huge sector, say for example, 15 sectors and something like that. In the next class, I'll tell you how to take inverse of a 3 by 3 or 3 by 3, all of you know, but 4 by 4 or 5 by 5 matrix and so on. Okay. And I minus a, first we'll compute I minus a within the bracket. I minus a, which is something like this I identity matrix minus a matrix, which is nothing but 1 minus 0.3 is 0.7 and 0 minus 0.14 is minus 0.14, and you'll get this I minus a matrix. Okay, now we will take the I minus a inverse. It's pretty simple to get I minus a inverse, which is nothing but find the determinant of this 1 divided by 0.70 multiplied by 0.70 minus or minus, this will become plus, and this will become minus of 0.07 into 0.14 into change the sign of this particular thing, I mean this particular thing, and swap this thing. That's a shortcut to find the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix, and the resultant value will be this 1.46 and 0.28 and 0.14 and 1.40. So this is our I minus a inverse matrix. Okay. Then once you get I minus a inverse matrix, and we know what is Y matrix. Y matrix is the final demand matrix, which is a column matrix or a column vector if you say. Then this is 28,000 and 30,000. So this is a 2 by 2 matrix, and this also 2 by 2 matrix. But Y matrix is 2 by 1 matrix, and we also know X factors. Okay, so X is equal to 50,000 is the total output. So X is the X matrix. It's also a column matrix, one column, two row matrix. Okay, so two rows and one column, and this is a 2 rows and 2 column and 2 rows and 2 columns. So we can take any of the side. In this case, I've taken RHS and proved LHS. You can even take LHS and you can finally compute with RHS. But LHS is just like only one column, so you cannot have anything to prove. So we'll compute both, and we'll just one part of the solution is to verify this Leontief's input-output model. Then we'll find this is just to verify, but the real problem is what happens if there's a variable in terms of demand. Okay, so we just take that a in 1 minus a inverse, this 1 minus a inverse multiplied by y, and you'll get 50,000 and 45,000, which is nothing but your x value, which is your LHS x. So hence Leontief's model plays a huge role. Here I've just made 50,000 45, but if you compute really, you'll get something around 48,000, 49,900, something like that. But if you put computer, no, why this problem happens is I have what do you call it? This is fine, but this matrix I minus a, you'll get 1.46666667 and 0.27753 and so on. So I've just what do you call made it round up to two significant figures. But if you do everything in computers, the decimals gets taken care, and you'll get the final solution. So if you multiply it by this, probably you may not get 50,000 and 45,000. But if you really do it with computers, help of computers without any compromise in the digits, then you probably get 50,000 and 45,000 for sure. Okay. So hence we verified the part one of our what do you call the analysis gets over. Now that's very important. So this is the final step before we getting into that. X star, which is the variability in terms of the total demand, sorry, total consumption or production. And what we say that this is the Y, initial Y, the final demand is 28,000 and 30,000. But Y star, we say steel gets increased by 65 percentage, and what do you call the timber gets increased by 40 percentage. Sometimes it can be, in this case is positive, which is increased, but sometimes minus 40 percentage, so this gets decreased also. So tomorrow, I mean Friday's class will do a variability in terms of negative thing, which means the decrease factors. Okay, so this gets increased, 28,000 gets increased to 46,200, and 30,000 increases to 42,000, and so on. Now what we do is the same, I minus A inverse is the same, only the Y gets varied, and we'll get approximately 80,000 and 65,000. So which means round up value, 80,000 and 65 value. And this is very important. This is the revised final norm. This is a Z bar is equal to A into XV. It's a special matrix called diagonal matrix. And we got, you remember what is A matrix? A matrix is a technology coefficient matrix. That multiplied by this in terms of a diagonal stuff. I called X bar D, which is a diagonal matrix. We make this 2 by 1 matrix into 2 by 2 matrix by keeping this X1 1 and this is X2 2. The remaining value will become 0. Then equals to this. You will multiply by this, then you will get this final outcome. So which means that this is the X1, this is X11 in X12, X21 and X22. Remember this particular thing. Initially, we have got 15,000 X11, but after all the changes, 65% and 40%, the value you get is 24,000. So, and similarly, this is 3,000 and now it gets increased to 5,600. I'll put it in terms of a tabular column. Probably you can see this. So original table, 15,000 gets converted to 24,000. How do we get 24,000? Is from the Z bar. Z bar is a revised tabular norm. And it is 9,000. Or if you want to know what is Z matrix is nothing but X11, X12, X21 and X22. So this is a Z matrix. Or after this, you can take a Z matrix, convert this into a matrix form as well. Then this is what we get X11, X12, X21 and X22. And the final demand gets increased because of the factor of 65%, 40% of timber. And total output. Now the total output gets varied because this total output is a summation of all these things. And total output is a summation of all these things. And the output gets into the overlay, as I told you, overlay. But there's a problem. The reason is that this particular thing gets varied. You know why? This gets increased. So the sum of these two things minus from 80,000 will be the payments or the value additions. This does not get varied because we have not changes any, we have not done final changes of final demand in terms of payment. So this will be the constant term, the 17,000. That's why I highlighted with the blue color. And some of these will be the final demand for the total outlay. And all these things, this when you done this, calculate this, and that will be the total output of the payments. And sum of all this will become the total output. So which means that if a steel gets increased by 65%, and timber gets increased by 40%, the total output of 1,70,000 units gets increased to 2,50,750 units. So this is how government does the demand or input output analysis. Or in the next class, we'll be doing a variation in terms of the negative. In this case, both the things is positive, so I'll just do it negative also. Okay. So this is pertaining to the input output analysis. So this is very simple. I think I've uploaded the slide, and just try to understand this, and also just try to understand from YouTube the different factors pertaining to input output analysis. And I think the next class, I mean Friday's class, we'll do an additional problem, and we will do what do you call? We'll release assignment number 2, and also we'll complete module number 3. Okay.